everyone was rushing to hire. And when they were rushing to hire, they basically found the right guy. They were willing to pay top dollar for it. A lot of the roles have been moved to Singapore because of the rising demand. The pay increments are still there.
Yeah.
It's just not as crazy as it was before.
So what key trends do you believe are going to be shaping the compliance job market in Singapore over the next kind of 12 months? Welcome to Talent Conversations by eFinancialCareers. I'm delighted to welcome Agnes Yee from Kerry Consulting in Singapore. Agnes is a specialist in compliance recruitment, which, as everybody who's followed our series over the past couple of quarters will know, has been a particularly hot market for recruitment globally. So Agnes, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here. So just tell us, how is the market for compliance recruitment right now in Singapore?
As you mentioned earlier, it's been a very hot market, so it's definitely still very buoyant. I would say one of the biggest critical change has been that a lot of key hires have been made out of Singapore. Singapore used to be more of where you hire the country compliance officers or you have your teams, but not the key hires. A number of factors here, I would say mainly is due to the Hong Kong brain drain.
Right.
I think, with the pandemic, I think everyone knows, and I think due to political situation, a lot of the roles have been moved to Singapore. So APAC Chief Compliance Officer's role, either the roles have moved or these individuals have requested to move to Singapore.
Right.
So that's one key thing that has happened. And I think Singapore has done a very good job of making themselves the fintech hub.
Yeah.
Right? We set off to do it a good 5-8 years ago, and now we can truly say we are indeed the fintech hub. And because of these, a lot of global HQ are based out of Singapore. So naturally, you will hire the chief compliance officer. They could be the regional position. They could be global position. These are being made out of Singapore.
Wow, so a bit of a perfect storm.
It is, yeah. I would say pandemic has kind of helped the compliance base in this way. As we come out of the pandemic a little bit, we also see a lot of private equity, asset managers having set up shop in Singapore as well. For those who have already have presence in Singapore, they're expanding. So the last check, I would say Singapore, we are managing an AUM of $5.5 trillion.
Wow.
So that's a lot of money to be regulated. So a lot of key compliance hires are being made out of Singapore as a consequence.
So a huge growth in most kind of sectors. Are there any specific job functions where there's in particular high demand?
I think the usual
Yeah.
ones, financial crime compliance, that's definitely still very much in demand. I would say data privacy compliance, that has been coming up quite a bit. When GDPR has been rolled out, it kind of cascades down to, obviously the Asia region. The kind of regulations keep changing.
Yeah.
So I think that these are the two key areas that will still be there. I think with all of the fraud that's been coming out,
Yeah.
with the disruptive tech, fraud compliance is another area. So I would say these are the three main areas that are kind of the hot areas of compliance.
Great. And have you seen, is that still driving really high wage inflation? So we saw that in 2022. Is that continuing now in 2023?
The pay increments are definitely still there.
Right.
I don't think it's as inflated as what it was. What happened in 2022 was really a reaction to
Yeah.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
Basically in 2020, towards the early part of 2021, there were a lot of hiring freezes.
Yeah.
So when that was lifted, everyone was rushing to hire. And when they were rushing to hire, they basically found the right guy. They were willing to pay top dollar for it.
Right.
So that was extremely inflated. That said, because of the rising demand, the pay increments are still there.
Yeah.
It's just not as crazy as it was before.
So what key trends do you believe are going to be shaping the compliance job market in Singapore over the next kind of 12 months?
I think one key trend will be that hybrid skill sets will be getting a lot more common. It used to be that we have a lot of very specialized skill set. So if you're a specialist in AML, KYC, then that's good and you're there. But I think increasingly, because of the fintech space,
Right.
We want someone who is a little bit a jack of all trades with some specialization trait. So someone with a hybrid skill set will be very much sought after. I think that's a key trend that will really chart the path of compliance hiring. Another key trend that affects Singapore and globally, I think, would be mobility. As I mentioned earlier, we have talent moving from Hong Kong to Singapore. That's just within the Asian region. But I think with this whole, as the borders open up, we have folks from the UK, from the US coming to Asia. Either the fact that they are looking for more job opportunities, equally, Asia needs that kind of skill set that we may not already have had, right? The regulations are set, whether it's by the US government or the UK government, and Asia will be making a hard push to attract this talent to basically impart, in terms of the skill set to the teams in Singapore and Asia.
Great, thanks Agnes. And thanks everyone. Hopefully you found that really insightful look into the Singaporean compliance market.
Thank you.